Hello and welcome to week 25 of the Ray of Hope Crochet Along, and this week we're making the V puff stitch. So this is a V stitch that's made out of puffs, and it's just really fabulous for making like really warm details into cowls, scarves, anything they just want something nice and thick in there. So how do we make it? Okay, so we've got the alternate turning chain, 2 double crochet. Now we're going to skip a stitch, and in the next stitch we're going to make a V puff. Okay, so yarn over, into the stitch, insert your hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, back into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, back into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. So you yarn over and pull up a loop 3 times and you should have 7 loops on your hook. Then yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1. Now working into the same stitch we're going to make another puff. So yarn over, into the same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. Okay, so 3 times, we've got 7 loops on our hook, then yarn over, pull through all the loops, chain 1. Okay, so there's our V puff. So now we're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch I'm going to make another V puff. So exactly the same as before, we yarn over and pull up a loop 3 times. 7 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through, chain 1. Into the same stitch, so it's 2 puffs in 1 stitch, you make another puff. 2, 3, 7 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through, chain 1. Skip 2 stitches, and the next stitch we make another V puff. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1. Into the same stitch, make another puff. Okay, so yarn over and pull up a loop 3 times, 7 loops on your hook, chain 1 for a nice V puff. And we're going to make one more V puff. So skip the next 2 stitches, into the next stitch, make a puff, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1, and then into the same stitch make another puff. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1. Okay, so now we've got 4 stitches left. We're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet in the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. There you go. So you have 4 sets of V puffs in row 3. Okay, so let's start row 4. I'm going to turn, chain 1. Make the alternate turning chain in the first stitch. And then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. One and 2. Okay, so now we're going to make another set of puff stitches, and these are going to be made into the chain 1 between our V stitches, V puffs in the row below. So yarn over, in between those puffs in the chain space, make another V puff. So first puff, chain 1, second puff, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through and chain 1. So we're just making them into the centre. Okay, and then we'll make another V-puff into the centre of the next set. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1, into the same chain space, make the second puff. Yarn over, pull through, chain 1. Okay, and we do the same for the next 2. 1, 2, 3, yarn over, chain 1, 1, oops, more yarn, 2, 3, yarn over, chain 1, and then the last one into the chain 1 space, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, chain 1, into the same space, 1, 2, 3 loops, pull through all 7 loops, chain 1. Okay. So we skip this chain 1 and then double crochet in the last 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, and that's row 4. Row 5 is exactly the same as row 4. Okay, so I'll go ahead and do that, and I shall see you when I get to the end of row 5. Okay, so on to row 6. You're going to turn and chain 1, and we're going to make the alternate turning chain 2 together. So this is the decrease row, but we're going to stick with the 4 puffs in each row. So just need more yarn there. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. Okay, so same as before, we're just going to make a V-puff into the centre of the V-puffs in the row below. Chain 1. So we'll have 4 V-puffs still in this row. So we're going to double crochet when we get to the end. So we have 3 double crochet in the row below, we double crochet in the first, and then double crochet 2 together over the last 2 stitches. Okay. So I shall finish that and I shall come back to you at the beginning of row 7. Okay, so I finished row 6 and we've got our decreases done. So on to row 7. So rows 7, 8 and 9 are exactly the same. Turn, chain 1 and make the alternate turning chain in the first stitch. Okay, and then double crochet in the next stitch. And we'll have 4 sets of V-puffs again in these rows. So just working in between the V-puffs again. 2, 3, pull through. So 4 V-puffs in the row, and then you're going to double crochet in the last 2 stitches. And that's the same for rows 7, 8 and 9. In row 10 we're going to decrease again and we're going to go down to 2 V-puffs. So I shall finish this set of rows up and I shall come back to you at the beginning of row 10. Okay, so I finished row 9. So I've now got 7 rows of 4 puffs, 4 V-puffs. Okay, on to row 10, and this is a decrease row. We're going to decrease down, so now we're only going to be making 2 puff stitches, V puffs. Okay, so turn, chain 1 and make the alternate turning chain 2 together over the first 2 stitches. Now we're going to make 3 double crochet. So we work into the top of the first puff, then we double crochet into the chain 1 space, and then double crochet into the top of the second puff. Okay, so now we can do our next V puff into the chain space of this one. And 3, yarn over, pull through and chain 1. And then make the second part of your V puff. 2, 3. Oh, got my hair caught in it there. And chain 1. We'll make our second V puff, 2 and 3, pull through, chain 1, and then the second half, 1, 2, 3, there we go. So into the top of the last V puff, you make a double crochet into the top of the first half, double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then double crochet into the top of the second puff. And then we're going to double crochet 2 together over the last 2 stitches. Okay, there we go. Okay, on to row 11. So rows 11, 12 and 13 are the same. So turn, chain 1, make the alternate turning chain in your first stitch. And we're going to make 3 double crochet. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and then we're going to have another 2 V puffs in this row. 2, 3, chain 1, and again, chain 1, and then the second V puff. 1, 2, 3, pull through, chain 1, 1, 2, 3, oops, chain 1, and then double crochet in the last 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so that's row 11. Rows 12 and 13 are exactly the same. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat that row 2 more times, and I shall come back to you for row 14, which is another decrease row. Okay, so I finished row 13, and row 14 is another decrease row. So we've just got a few more rows of puffs to do before we go back to normal row. Okay, so chain 1, make the alternate turning chain 2 together over your first 2 stitches. Okay, and then we're going to make 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Okay, and then we do 2 V-puffs in this row. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, chain 1, so 1 V-puff down, and the second one. 1, 2, 3. So as I'm sure you've discovered by now, this stitch is quite a big yarn eater. So, but it does look very good. 1, 2, 3, chain 1. Then we're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to do a double crochet 2 together over the last 2. 1 and 2. There we go, row 14. Okay, so we've got 3 more rows of V-puffs to go. So these 3 rows are exactly the same. So row 15, turn, chain 1, make the alternate turning chain in the first stitch. Okay, and then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So then we're going to make 2 V-puffs and then double crochet in the last 3 stitches. And you do this for this row, which is 15, 16 and 17. So I'm going to do those, and I shall come back to you at row 18, which is where we go back to our double crochet to finish the ray. So we'll see you in a second. Okay, I've finished row 17, and now we're on to row 18. So this is a decrease row, and we're going back to double crochet. So we finished all our V-puffs. So you turn and chain 1, and then we're going to make the alternate turning chain 2 together over the first 2 stitches. Okay, just mark that. Then double crochet in the next stitch. So now you're going to make a double crochet into the top of the first puff. Double crochet into the chain 1 space between, double crochet into the top of the second puff, okay, into the next puff, double crochet into the top of that, double crochet into the chain 1 space, then double crochet into the top of the puff, double crochet in the next stitch, okay, and then we finish with a double crochet 2 together. Okay, then you should have 10 stitches in this row. There we go. So the rest of the ray is just normal double crochet. Your decrease rows are rows 22, 26, 30, 34 and 38, so it's 39 rows in total. Okay, so I'm going to finish this ray and I shall come back to you and show you what we're doing for the slip stitch border. Okay, so I've finished my ray and you can see all 15 rows of V-puffs here and all our rows there. So for the slip stitch border, across the bottom it's just 1 slip stitch in every stitch, you'll have 20 stitches. Down the side, make 2 slip stitches into the side of every row. And remember, when you get to that tip, in that very last row, it's 2 slip stitches on one side, 1 slip stitch on the other. So you'll have 78 slip stitches down one side and 77 down the other. And then once you've done that, you can tie in all your ends and join it to the rest of your rays. So I hope you enjoy the V-puff. and I shall see you next week for week 26. Bye for now.